And those wires aren't ducted through anything.
No, they're
soil, right?
direct burial, low voltage. Yes.
Okay, so we have to be super careful about digging anywhere.
And the quick couplers are basically where they show on the plan as the black triangles. I see you guys already have instructions on how to get the controller to turn on manually, so the quick couplers are actually charged with water. So that's.
I have a question on that. I have a question on the fact that that's on a master valve.
Yes, sir.
And is there a rationale behind?
It's actually a TCEQ in the City of Austin code. And the reason being is that if there would be any crack or break in the main line due to a pressure surge off of the city main, that if there was no master valve, that main line would just continue to leak until somebody found it.
Right.
So
this turns on, has a max of 4 hours.
Yeah, and the reason the master valve is there is that the main line is then only charged when the controller is running.
And you can turn the master valve on to activate the hose bibs from the controller, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
I've validated that and written up instructions over there for us.
And this is the entire controller manual here, and it's also on the disc. The as-built are here, also on the disc. And I also put a quick instruction guide, basically on how to hook up to the quick couplers themselves. So you have the quick coupler key. So this is the quick coupler key. So that goes down, twists, and then this turning in the direction, same direction as the line itself.
So is it your intention that the quick coupler valve there be the stop for the water, and that the manual, the red turn off there is the kind of annual thing you turn off for freeze and then turn back on in the spring, or what?
No.
What's the intended usage model for that? Both of those things have to be done.
That is where the valve is where you turn your hose bib off and on.
So that's.
But this valve does the same thing. It also cuts off the water from there.
Yeah, but when you have it hooked up, you turn the water off and on from the ball valve.
What the red valve does basically is when you stick this in there and turn it, the water doesn't start shooting out right away. So you put this down, twist it, get it activated. Okay. If that wasn't there and the main line is charged, you would stick that in and be fighting a flow of water until you got your hose hooked up.
Yeah, I mean, typically what we've done here is everyone has a hose on first and couples it in there and then turns it and it turns on. So some of our members have some disabilities, which make it really difficult for them to get on their hands and knees and reach into a mud to get that. So is there any recommendations you have for
unfortunately
what we might do to make that more amenable?
Unfortunately, code prevents that. You can't just simply have a spigot sticking up from an irrigation line.
If it was a domestic line, it'd be a different story, but because it's irrigation, you can't just have a live hose bib off of a main with just your standard garden valve. If it was a domestic line, it'd be a different story. Just like the hose bibs on your house, but because this is irrigation, it has to be done this way.
To circumvent that, you could simply have a hose already hooked up there with a shutoff.
I think what I need to do is get a little tool that I can from a height,
T-bar,
reach in there and turn the ball valve, and just have the other thing already connected, and that way they can have easy access to it.
Or if you have the ball valve already turned on and a hose hooked up, you just put a spray nozzle on the end that has an off switch. So it's all hooked up, all ready to go. They just turn it on by the clock, and the hose is ready.
Somebody would need to maintain the
mercy of all the hoses failing.
Yeah. You want to get a really good hose. So
we do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay. For watering purposes, all of the trees have 2 half gallon per minute bubblers on there. So each tree is going to get a gallon of water per minute for every minute that you schedule the control.
Okay.
Our suggestion is long, deep, infrequent watering for trees. And I'm sure you guys
I
know.
rescheduled that already because it was on an everyday thing, and now it's on an every 3-day thing. Okay. So, you know, what we envision is that by the end of, maybe by this time next year, we need to have those, basically a larger root area watered for those things. So we're going to change that single point dripper to a single point
Two of these in here. One of them's probably
There's
buried.
one on each side. One on each tree.
So these are
So
completely adjustable. So
Right,
you would go in, you can move the pipe out as far as you like.
and well, you know, one of the things that we would consider putting there is some sort of drip system that's, you know, efficient, and that would require regulation. Do you have like any information on the pressure that's in this system?
Yeah, the pressure coming
It's
directly off
extraordinary.
the city, I would assume you're probably 60 to 70 psi at point
They
of
regulate
connection
it
with
down to
very little psi loss.
Yeah, it's huge.
Would there be a reason to go drip?
Yeah, it just promotes deeper root growth and less waste because it doesn't run off.
Okay.
But it needs a pressure regulator. That's all. So
It does.
It's okay. We just have to do this individually at each node.
Well, or you could pressure regulate right at the valve.
I see. Yeah.
On the back side of the valve, you can put
Open
both
it up and put a regulator.
I would
in there.
suggest both a filter and a pressure regulator. Because if you do go to drip, the smaller ports
All right.
will clog up quicker.
Sure.